Thank you and welcome for joining us for today's session. We are grateful to have you. I am Caitlin Giles McCormick here with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Today's session is an informational overview of the Food and Agriculture Research and Development Pilot Grant Program. The goal of the program and the eligibility is very specific, which the presenters will go over to in detail. But if you aren't directly eligible, please keep in mind some of your partners that may be eligible and make sure to check out the other programs that are available through CSIT and NJEDA. Now, to get us started with the actual content of the presentation, I will shift things over to Frances Keel, Program Officer for CSIT. Frances?
Thank you, Caitlin. We are excited today to bring this opportunity back to you. We had launched it last year and we had some funds available, so we're relaunching the program. I am joined today with our Executive Director, Judith Sheff, our Program Manager, Maku Etta, and our colleague from the NJEDA, Jermaine Parms. And Jermaine will come on a little bit later to help go over some of the questions that you may have or to explain to you some of the issues with the tax clearance certificate and also some of the other verifications that you can use to get bonus points. So we're going to do a brief overview of the program. We're going to talk about the submission process, touch on the eligibility criteria and required documents. We're going to talk a little bit about the scoring criteria and bonus points, the terms and conditions if you are awarded a grant, and then some other important details. So the program basically is focused on supporting innovation from researchers and entrepreneurs that are developing technology that addresses food insecurity in New Jersey. Some of the areas that we're looking to work on are the targeted areas are life sciences, technology, food and beverage, and transportation and logistics. And I apologize, this is from a previous program. Under life sciences, it's not specifically therapeutic drug development and medical devices. We're more so looking for innovative ideas that deal with maybe crop development or better ways of managing the food processes or better ingredients for certain foods. So in that line of areas, what we will be looking for. The grants will be awarded on a competitive basis with awards going to the highest scoring applicants. So the projects will be for $75,000 each. Each grant award will be for $75,000 and it will be valid for 12 months. We currently have a budget of about $375,000, which means that we have funding for about 5 projects. Like I said at the beginning, this is a relaunch of the program that we initiated last year. We had funding left over that wasn't used, and so we're making that funding available for more companies. And again, the objective of the program is to help commercialize viable projects or products that address the food insecurity needs of communities across New Jersey. And so we're looking to develop new approaches and alleviate and how to alleviate food deserts. The use of the funds, so the grant funding can be used for project research and development activities, and that has to be the focus of your project. No more than 30% of the budget can be used for marketing, IP or patent development, or conference registration fees for conferences that are related to the project. Some of the things that you cannot use the funding for is direct services to individuals or organizations, clinical trials, construction costs, travel or entertainment, allocation of overhead expenses, and fees are related to conferences not associated with the projects. A little bit about the application section. So once you'll need to create a username and password in order to access the application portal. And once you do that, you'll go to a welcome screen and you'll find some initial eligibility questions that are used to help you identify whether or not this is the right grant for you. And once you enter your responses to those eligibility questions, if you are eligible, you will be prompted to move on to the next section. The next section talks about your company information. This is where we get background on your company, where you're located, and your website and things like that. The primary contact person is the person who is responsible for the project. So this is the person that we need to be able to contact if an issue arises, if you're missing documentation, and we need to send a letter letting you know that you have a certain time frame to resubmit your documents. The primary contact person is very important because this is the way we communicate back and forth with you with important information. Your project description comes next, and this is where you need to be very descriptive about your project innovation. This is where you sell the meat and potatoes of your project. This is where we start seeing emphasis on the scoring. This is where you really need to shine in your application and show us and tell us why we should give you your funding. Milestone and budget is also a very important section. This talks about your milestones for the year and your budget for the year, and they should complement each other. You should not have milestones that are not going to be able to be completed within the budget. Your go-to market strategy is another important area, as well as your team formation or your team information. Information on your team, the makeup of your team, the expertise of your team, all those things are important. And these are categories that are going to be scored. You'll also need to upload your required documents. Once you go into the portal, you'll see a list of the required documents that need to be uploaded, such as your tax clearance certificate, your employee verification documents, and other documents that are required. There's also a legal questionnaire that is embedded in the application. You need to complete that questionnaire and sign it. And then once you've completed all the sections, you're able to submit. What's important to note is that once you hit the submit button, you cannot go back and make any changes to your application. So you want to take your time, you want to review each section carefully, and you want to make sure that you're putting the information in that's most important, because once you hit submit, you will not be able to go back and make changes. So once you've submitted your application, the process that we go to, so you complete the online application, and then CSIT does a document completeness review. As I mentioned, there are required documents for you to upload along with your application, and CSIT completes a review of those documents to make sure that you have everything that is required. If you are missing documents, you will have 10 days to submit those documents to us. We will send you a resubmission letter explaining the documents that you're missing, and you will have 10 days to submit those documents. After we get all your documents and your application has been deemed complete, then we start the SME review and the scoring process by CSIT and EDA. Once we've completed the scoring process and we've decided what companies to recommend, we take these recommendations to our CSIT board, and they would make the ultimate final decision. So let's talk about the eligibility criteria. You must be authorized in good standing in order to conduct business in New Jersey. And this is evidenced by having a New Jersey tax clearance certificate. Your tax clearance certificate must list Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. If it has any other agency listed, we will not be able to accept your document. You must have a minimum of one full-time worker or employee working at least 35 hours per week. A worker may be the founder and counted as a worker. A worker may be paid or unpaid. 50% or more of the cumulative hours worked by all workers, founders, and contractors must be conducted in New Jersey, and this is also calculated on 35 hours per week. At the time of application, you can have no more than 25 full-time equivalent workers, and you must have less than $2 million in previous calendar year sales revenue. And Jermaine will come on a little bit later to talk about the tax clearance certificate in a little bit more detail. So what are the required documents? Well, you must have a proof of concept, and the proof of concept can be an SBIR proposal. It can be a peer-reviewed article or journal article. It can be a pitch deck explaining your concepts, but it has to be something that talks about your R&D and how it has progressed from the beginning of the project. So we need to have some documentation. We need to have some numbers to support your research, and we need to have some background information that tells us about your project. You also have to upload a budget and milestone document. I talked a little bit about that earlier, but that is basically the budget is $75,000, up to $75,000. So please do not submit a budget that's over that amount. Your budget has to be for the amount that we have that we will be awarding for the grant, and your milestone should match with your budget. The employee information is also required documentation. This is your verification documents. And this lets us know that your employees are, in fact, your employees, and whether or not they're being paid. So documents that we would accept are a W-2, a 1099, a K-1. We also recognize that your employees may not be paid. So if your employees are not being paid, then we would accept an offer letter that indicates the hours that they work and where they're working. We would also accept a letter on company letterhead that states that your employees are not getting paid, that you have not, and you don't have any of the qualifying tax documents. We would just need to know the number of hours that they work and where they're located, and that they're not receiving a salary. The same thing with the summary of most recent internal payroll. We need to see a payroll document that shows that your employees have been paid. Again, if you are not paying your employees, if you're not at that stage yet, then we just need that letter on company letterhead explaining that to us. Again, the same thing with the company tax filing. If you haven't filed taxes, we would accept a letter explaining that as well. And then two of the other documents that are, the tax clearance certificate is required. The minority, women, and veteran-owned business certifications are, if they are applicable. And I'll bring Jermaine forward now, who is the Director of Diversity and Business Development for the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, and he will give you a little more information about the tax clearance and the other certifications.
Listen, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making a value-based decision to join us. As you heard, my name is Jermaine Parms, Director of Diversity, and anything else that comes up at EDA. We work in a fast-paced environment, doing a lot of things behind the scenes to try to bring you as many resources as possible. And I wanted to jump in this conversation specifically because the importance of having a tax clearance certificate and if you are applicable to, in regards to certification are very important. I also jump into this conversation to make sure that you know that there is support to help you get through these items. My information will be provided, and I'm going to be on a call for the duration to answer any questions. But the tax clearance certificate specifically has to be requested through the Department of Taxation of the state of New Jersey. I want to drill the importance of going for these items that you need as part of your qualifiers as soon as possible if you're going to apply for this and most other things that we would do in terms of resources. You know, you have to have this tax clearance certificate provided by the state. A lot of the process can be initiated in a very straightforward manner. However, sometimes there are hurdles and it's not a 1, 2, 3 process. So you want to get in on this part as early as possible. The same would go for the certification process, and the certification process for the state of New Jersey, because you're applying for funds that come from the state of New Jersey. You have to have a New Jersey certification saying that you qualify in one of these categories. That again comes from the state of New Jersey Department of Treasury. The process can be easily initiated online. I am always available to work with preparedness and having the things you need, because that part of the that part in regards to the certification is in fact an audit. And the Treasury Department does a great job, but they do get a high amount of certifications. A few years back, this process was changed to be a free process. Before there used to be $100 fee. The state no longer charges anything, and along with the many programs that we are trying to put forward in the name of diversity to make sure that we match our population, the applications are plentiful on there, and so you do not want to wait at all to go for the certification if you are in any of these categories. So just want to stress that importance. Again, there is help. I offer my assistance directly to anyone that needs to talk to us about what they should be doing, how they should go about applying in the most expedient manner. And also, we have other agencies that we partner with as well in the name of bringing you the resources that you need. I always partner with the Business Action Center and the skilled professionals on that side of the universe to make sure that we can help you troubleshoot, especially in the areas of tax clearances and getting your certifications. So again, I'll be on for the duration of the call. My information will also be provided during this call to make sure that you are afforded every opportunity to apply for this and the many other things that we offer. So at this time, thank you again, and I will yield back to Francis.
Thank you, Jermaine, for sharing that information. So some of the other documents that you'll need to submit is a signed application certification, and that's a document that's in the application portal. You would download it, sign it, and then scan it back into the system. Also, if applicable, an executed license agreement with the university. If you have that, you should upload that as well. And you need to complete the legal debarment questionnaire, which is embedded in the application. That is also a requirement. And then if you have a DBA or doing business as, we require proof of New Jersey registration reflecting the same. So you'll need to submit documentation that supports that as well. How will your application be scored? Well, you have to meet a minimum of 70 points in order to be considered for recommendation and bonus points. You'll be scored for 30 points for innovation, up to 10 points for market opportunity, up to 20 points for your implementation plan, which is basically your budget and milestones, up to 10 points for your go-to-market strategy, up to 10 points for your economic and community impact, and up to 20 points for team. As far as economic and community impact, those points will be calculated based on such things as job creations or job opportunities that are created in your industry, and also the community impact for infrastructure or health fields, and specifically for this grant for the food insecurity and food desert problem in New Jersey. Your team, again, will be scored on the depth of your team, not so much the number, but sort of the expertise and the availability of your team to support your project. As far as the bonus points, if you're a company using technology that comes out of a university and you have a license agreement, you would get up to 15, or you get 15 points. If you are certified woman-owned, minority-owned, or veteran-owned business, you would get 10 points. If your primary place of business or research and development is located within an opportunity zone eligible census tract or government-restricted municipality, you will get 5 points. And if your company has not previously received a CSIT grant or voucher, you will get 10 points. And again, this is on top of the 70 points that you must get in order to be considered for a grant. Some other additional terms and conditions are for compliance. if you are able, or if you receive a grant from us, then you would have to complete a project completion report for 2 years after the project is completed. That's something that would be sent to you or will be part of your grant agreement, and that's something that you would submit back to CSIT for 2 years. In addition, you also have to maintain 50% of your work in New Jersey for a period of 2 years after the grant has completed. Some important information, the application portal is probably going to be open early April of this year, and it will be open for approximately 6 weeks. So we're looking at maybe the middle of May for closing out this portal. Any questions that you may have, you can submit them to our email address, csitfoodagr@njcsit.gov. All questions that are submitted will be answered via the FAQ document, which will be continually updated on the website. The certification does require a signature. However, if you prefer not to provide an electronic signature, there are instructions there for you to fill out the form and provide a signature, a hard signature. So just a few pointers about your application. Be as detailed and clear as possible when you're describing your project innovation. This is one thing that is definitely scored, and this is where we get the information that we need about your project. This is where you really can shine, and this is where you can really give us some good details about what you're doing. Don't wait until the last minute to submit your application. Start early. As Jermaine mentioned, the process for getting the tax clearance certificate as well as the other certifications is not fast. You know, it takes time to do that. So if you're planning on getting those certifications, and you will definitely need the tax clearance certificate, you need to start that process early and review everything before you hit the submit button, because like I mentioned before, you will not be able to go back and make changes to your application once you've hit the submit button. Make sure you fully answer each question in the application. Do not send us uploaded documents. Do not take it offline and try to, you know, do it in Word. Please answer the questions fully in the application. Do not rush through the budget and milestone document. Take your time to flush that out. Make sure your budget and milestones complement each other, and make sure that they are feasible. And then be sure to submit your application before 5 p.m. This is 5 p.m. according to our application portal, not according to your watch or not according to your cell phone, but what is actually in the portal. And so we don't want you to be cut off in the middle of your application or in the middle of uploading your documents. So please be mindful of that deadline as well. And I will take any questions that you may have, or you know, anything I can help clarify for you, or go back over anything that you'd like to see clarified.
Thanks, Francis. So we got a few questions. They were answered either in the chat, but we can at least just kind of share them out loud for folks that may have not seen the responses. So one of the questions was just, can the budget be used to support salaries?
Yes, the budget can be used to support salaries, but not in the sense of you meeting your employee requirement. You must have the correct number of employees. You must have the full-time employee and 50% of your workers doing work in New Jersey at the time of application. But you can use the money for the grant to support additional employees for the project.
Perfect. There was also just a quick question. Is this a grant or loan? Can it be used by nonprofit organizations?
It is a grant, and at this time, we do not offer grant opportunities to nonprofits. You have to be a business.
Yep. But if they, you know, in some of our other grant programs. If a nonprofit wanted to partner with the company that is applying, they can be included in the overall project scope.
Yes, yes.
And then another question was, just to give a few examples of direct services that are not applicable for the grant, since this is just for research and development. And this kind of would be for like food delivery restaurants, like grocery stores, like,
Right.
again, if you are just providing a direct service, cooking classes and things like that, and there's no R&D, there's no technology being developed, or there's no R&D scope of work, they would not be eligible, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Let me just see if so I think those were the questions that came through.
Okay. Judith,
Yep,
is Judith still on? I wanted to give you an opportunity if you wanted to say a few words. I kind of skipped by you at the beginning.
No problem, Francis. Thank you. I'd like to certainly thank Francis, Maku, and Jermaine for really sharing information on this really important research and development program. And as Francis mentioned, food and ag in some sense covers a bit of a wide area because we're looking to address food insecurity, try to make nutritious foods available for New Jersey residents. So you may have solutions around transportation and logistics solutions to help people get to food easier. You may be working on a technology to create a more nutritious, higher content, more protein, as an example, in a food bar or shake or other type of supplement. So it really covers a broad range of activities. One of the things that we mentioned earlier in the presentation is that there's a number of other CSIT grant opportunities available. So if this doesn't fit what you're doing, please take a look on the webpage or reach out to us so we can see if there's something else that might be more appropriate to align with your needs. But we are very much looking forward to receiving applications from companies on this, as I said, very important program to ensure that everyone has access to good, nutritious food in New Jersey.
Thank you, Judith.
Okay, I don't see any additional questions in the Q&A section, Francis.
All right, great. Well, I want to thank everyone again for joining the informational webinar. Again, if you have any additional questions, you can reach out to us via our email address, csitfoodagr@njcsit.gov, and we will get back to you. We will be answering the frequently asked questions and continuously updating them on our website. And we will be notifying the community once the application portal is open. Again, it will be open for approximately 6 weeks. And please feel free to contact us if you have any additional questions. I thank you for your time today.